Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to attempt epic difficulty Doctor Doom invasions using only 3-star champions. Our line of choice today is going to be explosive armor, just because it's by far the easiest one to cheese. And yeah, so first fight we're going to be using Ronan. I will be using kind of different champions for every fight, so yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, first fight here we're using Ronan, and basically the fight is over as soon as we get to our first level 1 attack. In addition to Black Bolt generically having buffs whenever I land critical hits on him, there's always the explosive personality, which is perfectly abusable by Ronan. Base idea, what you do is hit him 4 times in a block, so he gets 4 stacks of armor from explosive personality, and that will be enough buffs on opponent to keep him stun locked basically forever. So as soon as you get your level 1, as we can see here, our stuns are really long and we can just mince in at him, and we have absolutely nothing to worry about. The fight is super simple, really easy, not much to do there. And the next opponent now we do have to take care of is Kamal Khan, and we're going to be using the little ducky for that. Now Venom the Duck is a ramp up champion, however his level 2 mechanic does not really require you to be ramped up at all whatsoever. And just like before, the idea here is going to be fairly similar. We are going to hit Kamal Khan 4 times in a block and then drop our level 2 attack. Basically give her a couple more stacks of toxic armor, hopefully. I think my first level 2, none of the stacks of toxic armor will trigger, and I'm gonna have to build up to another level 2. But the base idea is the higher the opponent's armor rating, the more damage we can do if opponent has toxic armor on. As we can see here, we dropped our first level 2 and not a single stack of toxic armor triggered, unfortunately. So that means that we do have to build up to another level 2. But it's not too big of a deal. It's not the most difficult fight in the world, and we're just looking for that huge burst of damage after our level 2. Now we are dropping our second level 2. We can see that 1 stack of toxic armor triggered, and that immediately dealt a huge chunk of damage. Now because of armor, I typically don't do too much damage to her unless I crit, but as soon as I crit, we can see that we hit her for like 250, but the bonus damage was like 6k, so that is definitely a very effective way how to deal with a high armor champions, I suppose, if you are able to crit. Because if you're not critting, that armor will reduce your damage to basically nothing, and there will not be any benefit whatsoever. And now for next fight, we are up against OG Thor, and we're using Morningstar. So once again, we're going to be abusing the explosive personality node, and it's going to basically be, as always, we hit 4 times in the block to make sure that he has maximum stack of armor without it exploding and dealing damage back to me. And then we're just gonna pop our level 2, nullify all his armors, and do all of that extra damage. Now there are a variety of Mystic champions which you can abuse on explosive personality nodes, such as Man-Thing, Dr. Voodoo, Magic, and I'm sure there's a bunch others, Mordo even. And yeah, so Mystics do thrive on explosive personality nodes, and as we can see here, every level 2 we do shoot off gives us back a chunk of power, so we're never far off the next one. Only thing we do have to do is land a 4-hit combo in Thor's block, and then we're pretty much always ready to go again for another huge level 2. And yeah, 56 hits and the fight is over. Now for the next fight, I'm not really gonna be doing anything with explosive personality node aside from, well, staying away from it, because it's Sabertooth, and it's always a good time to troll Sabertooth with Void. It's one of those pretty much classic matchups by now where if opponent has a lot of regeneration, it's always fun to use it against them, and Void does it perfectly, especially in longer fights. So this fight is going to be like super simple. It's not going to be the quickest fight because the regen, as we can see, isn't really healing him up for as much as I thought it would be, but still we're going to chick him away. We're going to have our own damage over time effect, and yeah, it is a fairly simple fight. The only kind of tricky thing about Sabertooth is knowing when to avoid his level 1. It's kind of a bit later than people often think it is. But aside from that, he's like a really simple opponent. There's nothing inherently difficult about dealing with this guy, especially once you are kind of comfortable with his movesets, because his AI is aggressive, those big lunging attacks and so on and so forth. You might end up getting cornered or something. But if you are comfortable with the way he moves, with his abilities, then it is a quite simple fight. Also, he's very willingly throwing his level 1 by vast majority of the time, so it's not a difficult special attack to bait out and then simply evade and outrange the latter parts of it. So 57 hits in, he's at 77%, but we have our Fear of the Void going for us, and our damage is just gonna kind of increase due to that. Needless to say, the higher amount of regeneration he's getting, the more aggressive we are in the fight, the more heal we are reversing, and the more damage we are doing. So ideally, we want to stay as aggressive as possible at all times to make sure he has as many regeneration stacks on as we can get, basically. And in order to do that, basically have to try and bait out his level 1s as quickly as possible. You do not want the fight to go stale. You do not want to kind of spend a lot of time dancing around the screen. You just want to hit him as quickly as possible, drop your level 1s, and then at the same time bait out his level 1 and punish those, and just keep a high tempo in a fight to make him regenerate more and to reverse more of that regeneration into damage. And here 100 hits in, last 20% left, so the end is near. And here, unfortunately, I do waste a level 1 of mine because I already had 6 debuffs on, and they convert into Fear of the Void. So all that debuff damage kind of went away for a second, but still, like, another last combo and Sabertooth goes down. So 3-star Void did the job just fine. We only took a small amount of chip damage. And now for the final boss. The final boss is the thing which is not too easy of an opponent. And I'm going to be starting off with Invisible Woman. And the base idea here is quite simple. If I do mess up, her invisibility will save me. But I did forget about that node that increases his power gain the more debuffs he has. Now, to a degree, when you have a few debuffs, it actually helps because it's always easier to push him past bars of power. And if you are able to chip his block quite a bit, then you can keep him at his corner, and you don't particularly have to worry about kind of like getting stuck when he's at 15 rock stack charges and without a bar of power. But I will get a bit sloppy in this fight. I will mess up a couple of times, and we will end up getting smacked in the face and get KO'd. But nonetheless, we are doing quite decent amount of damage at this point, because all that extra damage from Invisible Woman is coming as an energy damage. We're also not triggering protection, and that is always good and useful. And inherently, Invisible Woman does have quite good matchup against the Thing, but once again, I did kind of get distracted in this fight. I was recording it at work, and there was the first mess up already where I lost my invisibility and majority of my health. I'm still carrying on, but eventually the Thing is going to get me when I will hit him when he's at 15 rock stacks. And then we're gonna have to kind of like go for our plan B, and we're gonna see how that works out. But here still 82 hits in, we have done decent amount of damage. We have taken off 30% of his health, so our effort was not entirely in vain. Here was another mistake by me. He went unstoppable, so I did have to kind of like play around that. We went into our invisibility mode once again, but we made another mistake, and finally he did KO us. Now, the second fight, now our plan B is Void. Now with Void, if we can kind of keep him in his corner, hit his block a lot, and let our damage over time debuffs go to work, then even though this should be quite a long fight, it shouldn't be as bad. However, once again, that node that makes him get more power, the more debuffs he has on him, is making this fight a lot trickier than it should be. I will also make a slip up not too far from now. However, so far so good in this fight. We're making some notable progress. And when you are using 3 stars against stacked opponents like that, if you can see the PI difference is more than 10 times, then every bit of damage, every bit of chip damage helps, and the more we can get him down, the better chance we have to finish this run without using any items or potions or revives. So we basically just have to hang in there for as long as we can. Now we do have Fear of the Void active, a solid 3 unique debuffs on him as well. As we can see, he is taking damage kind of like non-stop. Unfortunately, I did make a mistake there, but let's see what happens here. This is going to be one of those thanks Kabam moments. So here he backs away. I hit his block and let's see, I think it's about to come up. Yes, now. So I hit his block and I immediately go for the second hit, but thanks Kabam. It's things like that that do make fighting thing a lot more difficult, kind of. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. And there was like a perfect slow motion where I did land my first medium. I did try to carry on hitting his block immediately, which I had done dozens of times in this video even without any issues. But for this one particular case, who knows? Anyway, so now we're going to be trying taking our little ducky to finish the fight off, because, you know, who else? It does seem that the duck will have to come and save us, just because Morningstar probably will have extremely horrible time against this guy. And I wouldn't put too much hopes into Ronan as well. So this was kind of like do or die time for me. And the base idea is, again, quite simple. We're just going to be shooting off our level 2s and kind of hoping for a decent amount of extra damage, because Thing, I believe, does have a decent armor rating, and that should help with our damage increase. Also, luckily, Venom the Duck, if he is up against bleed immune champions, instead of placing bleed, he places passive degeneration on opponents, so we're not losing damage there. And so far, we have taken quite a bit of chip damage, but we haven't messed up. He is at 10%, and it is fairly realistic that we'll finish this fight out without issues. Just need to kind of play carefully last portions of it. And yeah, so we can see here another level 2. He's at 3%. We're nearly there. Another combo, couple of hits in block, and the fight is over. So yeah, we finished Doom Invasions epic difficulty without using any items, using only 3-star champions. And yeah, if you guys like the video, hit that sub button, hit that like button, hit that share button, subscribe to the channel. We have plenty of other cool stuff coming shortly, but that will do for today. And yeah, catch you guys later. See ya.